to the Senate Standing Committee on Finance. I'm Senator Catherine Young. Today is Thursday, June 16, 2016. It is approximately 11:12 p.m. And we have several appearances and non-appearances for people who are appointees to be confirmed. And first I'd like to call forward Veronica Vanderpool as a member of the Metropolitan Transportation Authority. Welcome, Ms. Vanderpool.
Thank you.
Please have a seat. I'm very happy that you're here. I know you've been here for 2 days. The Senate did not require you to appear, but you chose to. So we appreciate your commitment and diligence. So maybe you could tell the committee just very briefly a little bit about yourself and what your goals would be as an MTA board member.
Certainly. Good evening. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for your time this evening. I am Veronica Vanderpool. I'm the executive director of a nonprofit organization called Tri-State Transportation Campaign. We've been around for a quarter of a century. We are based in Manhattan. We are a regional transportation advocacy group. We work throughout New York State, New Jersey, and the state of Connecticut. I was born and raised in the Bronx. I now live in Westchester County. I am a recommendation of Mayor de Blasio. And though I am a city recommendation, I have a very regional perspective. Tri-State Transportation Campaign has worked with many of you over nearly a quarter century on transportation issues related to the MTA's capital program, related to the Tappan Zee Bridge, related to the New York State Department of Transportation capital program, related to fare hikes and service cuts and investment in the MTA's most recent capital program. Some of the goals that I would have on the MTA board are to continue to ensure that our transit system is well financed and maintained, that we are really moving toward a very regional transit system. We all know that we have an asset in the downstate region that is a $1 trillion asset, and it's very important not just to the city of New York, but to the entire state of New York, the states of New Jersey and Connecticut. And I would bring that perspective onto the MTA board.
Thank you. Any questions? Senator Rivera.
Not a question, but just a quick comment. The time that I'm in the Senate, the Senate was in incredible access to my office. Transportation policy is not one of the things that I'm very strong on. And it becomes clear when I speak to her. She's certainly an asset, she's an asset to me, and I know she's an asset to the city. There's very few people I know that know more about transportation policy than she does. So I'm very glad. And also, as I said, can't forget that. And as a Latino woman, I'm incredibly proud of her and her success so far. And I certainly am very proud to vote for her.
Thank you, Senator. Anyone else? I just wanted to ask one quick question. Do you think that there's no question about the importance of the MTA to New York City, to the entire state? Do you think that it's a well-run authority and agency, and if so, why or why not?
Having a regional perspective and being able to compare this transit agency with transit agencies in other states, I would say yes, the MTA is a well-run system. However, again, it's a $1 trillion asset. 8.5 million people use the system every single day, and there's significant room for improvement at this transit agency. One of the nice things about working in 3 states is we're able to see the positives and the benefits in each state and how they run their transit systems. And one thing about the MTA that we've been able to see and compare with other states is that there is a financing structure that does work much better than it does in the other states. The leadership has been very strong. The commitment from the board members has been fairly strong, and the support of the elected officials, most recently at the city level and then of course at the state level, has really positioned the agency to be very strong comparatively to some other states.
Great. Well, thank you. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Senator Rivera moves. Senator Hassel Thompson seconds. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations.
Thank you.
Your nomination is moving forward, so thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you
Very
very
nice.
much. Thank you all. Yes,
I know.
thank you.
It's very efficient. Our next appearance will be by Edward M. Spiro as trustee of the State University of New York Board of Trustees. Welcome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your patience. Thank you for being here. Maybe we could go through the same drill where you could just give us very briefly a little bit about yourself and maybe some of your goals from SUNY.
Thank you, Senator. I have been a practicing lawyer in New York City since 1977. Approximately 2 years ago, I had the good fortune of representing the trustees of the State University of New York in connection with litigation that was brought against them arising out of their efforts to close Long Island College Hospital. I came to know the chancellor, the chair, a number of the senior officials at SUNY very well during that process. I also came to appreciate the remarkable job that they have done over the past many years to try and build upon and actually improve upon the remarkable services that SUNY has provided to the citizens of the state of New York. SUNY is an important institution in the state. It services so many of us in very important ways. I would like to give back, if you will, to the state and give back to SUNY some of hopefully the knowledge and experiences that I have had as an active practicing lawyer over the years, and hopefully assist as SUNY goes through I think a difficult transition period as we have a new chancellor coming on board. We'll have a new chancellor coming on board next year. I grew up in the Bronx. I went to the Bronx High School of Science.
The Bronx again.
It's a great place. And my mom, who's 93, still lives there, so I have still have very strong roots. I'm also a constituent of Senator Kruger, and have a second home in Old Chatham and Columbia County. So I understand the importance of SUNY as an institution to the state of New York. I understand how many communities throughout the state look to SUNY not only as a source of employment for citizens and an opportunity for its children in terms of education, but as a kind of cultural magnet which provides a lot of cultural enrichment and opportunities to communities throughout our state.
Thank you. Any questions? Yes, Senator Squadron.
Thank you. You mentioned the Litz litigation, and
I know you're familiar with it, Senator.
highly familiar with it. It was a truly devastating blow to a large part of my community, and a pretty ugly process overall. Obviously, as a attorney working on behalf of them, I respect your professional duty and obligation. As you transition from that role to being one of the board members of the organization, what do you think are some lessons learned from that really terrible experience that could guide SUNY to do better, be more respectful and collaborative with the community in the future?
The Long Island College Hospital situation, I think, was a difficult one because there were, some fundamental problems with which, as a hospital, that made it extremely difficult to save it as an institution. Obviously, one of the challenges going forward that SUNY has is downstate. Downstate's an important part of the central Brooklyn community, and it is important, it seems to me, that the SUNY board pay attention to the needs of the community, and in making whatever decisions need to be made on a going forward basis, liaison with community members, with elected officials, and all constituencies to make sure that whatever the future is for downstate, that it's a future that takes into account the best interests of the people of Brooklyn and the communities in particular in Brooklyn, in central Brooklyn, that are served by it.
You think more than happened in the closure of Litz?
Well, we can agree to disagree on that, Senator. I think that with regard to the closure of Litz, probably were some communication shortcomings during the early part of that effort, but it was a complicated process that occurred, and it's never going to be a happy event when a hospital in a community is closed. And the question becomes, given the problems that that hospital was facing in terms of declining patient populations, that given the needs, the capital needs that existed with regard to which, if it was going to be brought up to a first-class institution, and the drains that it would have imposed on SUNY, whether it was really practical to keep Glitch open. And then it seems to me one of the things that SUNY did well was to look at what's next, where are we going with the Glitch site, and what sorts of healthcare opportunities do we want to create at that site. And I'm still very optimistic and hopeful that the NYU facility that is being built at the Glitch site is going to be a real plus for the community, and in terms not only of a better physical facility, but in terms of providing diverse healthcare services to the community.
Well, as in my community, we face an absolutely out of scale and badly planned mega development on those things. We're going to have to agree to disagree on that point. Final question, and thanks to Chair for her indulgence. That deal is not actually behind us. Large parts of it have not yet closed, and in fact, are not scheduled to close for some number of years moving forward. Having been the attorney of record and now being a board member of SUNY, to the extent the board has to deal with any of those issues around the fact that properties aren't closed, how will that role work for you?
Well, I will not wear two hats. I won't function both as counsel to SUNY and as a SUNY trustee.
So you'll no longer be the counsel for the purposes of the closing out of those deals that are still not closed?
Correct. My firm's contract with SUNY has expired.
And the fact that you were the attorney for them, you don't think poses a challenge to the board member?
I do not think it does, no.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Squadron. Anyone else? Just one quick question. The tuition enrollment losses upstate, some of the colleges, SUNY Valley, SUNY Oakland, for example, have a lot of competition from out of state, and I just wanted to get your thoughts about how to address those issues.
I actually have to confess that with regard to tuition issues, I'm going to need to do some more homework. I know that there's been a tremendous, there have been tremendous budgetary issues this year. Some of them are related to tuition, and I need to get into that in more detail before I can respond.
Okay.
Hopefully intelligent way.
Fair enough. Yeah. Senator Espaillat.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The issue of diversity continues to be concern to many of us with the SUNY. And as a board member, do you have any vision of how we would like to address diversity amongst not only the SUNY board itself, but the SUNY bureaucratic structure that also has to answer to thousands of students across the state in the campuses?
Yes, Senator. Diversity is a critical goal that our board needs to meet as it provides oversight. And I can assure you that in terms of my own performance on the board, that I will remain very sensitive to the need to assure diversity throughout the SUNY system.
Okay. Do I have a motion? Senator Boyle, I'm sorry, Senator.
I was going to
Make the motion.
move the nomination.
Okay, as Chair of Higher Education, Senator Lavelle, Senator Stavisky second, Senator Boyle also seconds. Any other? Oh, Senator Krueger seconds. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Without rec. So, congratulations.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for appearing. The next appearance will be by Courtney E. Burke, as trustee of the State University of New York Board of Trustees. Ms. Burke is very well known to the senators. She has had a former role as Deputy Secretary for Health in the New York State Executive Chamber and also served as Commissioner of the New York State Office of People with Developmental Disabilities. So welcome, good to see you again. Thank you for appearing. Why don't you, we know a lot about you, as I stated, but maybe you could tell us some of your goals that you would like to see fulfilled as a trustee member.
Sure. Happy to tell you about my goals, but I first wanted to point out, which I did with the Higher Education Committee, that the reason I moved to New York was to come to the State University of New York here in Albany at the School of Public Health, and I was telling them how I've always wanted the opportunity to give back to the university system, so I think this is a great opportunity to do that.
Fantastic.
But I think one of my main goals would obviously be to maintain the excellent system that we have right now. It's a great resource in the communities, and it is in just about every community across the state, and provides education for students whether they want 2-year, 4-year, or further degree. And certainly it's good to have all of those options available for the population. And then keeping them in the state after they graduate, I think, is another major goal. I think obviously this year we'll be focused on recruiting a top-notch chancellor, which there's some big shoes to fill in that regard, to continue the great work that SUNY already carries out.
Very good. Senator Griffith.
Yes, hi, Ms. Burke, how are you? It's quite evident, I think, over the last several days as we go through the nominations that the executive has nominated a number of individuals who have been either prior members of the administration or current members of the administration. Do you foresee any issues there? The governor's taken some positions on SUNY. You work closely with him. You're now going to an independent board. How do you view that relationship moving forward?
Certainly I want to do what's in the best interest of SUNY. I would always, of course, consider what the opinions are of the governor and the legislature in that process. But I want to do what's best for the university system.
Anyone else? Senator Kennedy.
Yes, how you doing, Ms. Burke? Welcome back, and congratulations. I just want to say how delightful it's been to work with you in your former capacity, and I'm looking forward to supporting you today.
Thank you. Senator Little.
Just a comment. I think your background in health and your current position with all of the health facilities in the SUNY system and nursing, medical professions, dental schools, and all will be a great asset. So welcome.
Thank you. Do I have a motion? Senator Lavelle moves. Senator Breslin seconds. Senator Stavisky seconds. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Congratulations. Thank you so much. Our next appearance is by Deirdre K. Scozafava, is Commissioner of the Tax Appeals Tribunal.
Hi, Catherine. I'm well. Nice to see you.
Again, somebody who is familiar to the legislature, so why don't you just tell us a bit about yourself and then maybe some of your goals.
Sure. My name is Dee Dee Scozafava. Real name is Deirdre, but I go by Dee Dee. Served in the state legislature for 12 years in the state assembly. With many of you here. But a few things that you might not know about me is that I had my undergrad degree in management information systems, went on to get an MBA from Clarkson, worked at my family's business for many years, and then worked in the financial industry field for approximately 22 years with a firm named Tucker Anthony that became RBC Dane Rauscher. So this is kind of a little bit of a return to where I started. A few other things. I've instructed cost accounting, finance, many other business courses for any other colleges in different places. So kind of easing back into that a little bit with this position and using the knowledge that was gained earlier in my career. Also, with the tax tribunal, it's very important that it serves a role to be to listen to the citizens. I would be the one member that would be the non-attorney on the tribunal to listen to a point of view that might not always be in legalese, to just look for common sense and rational reasoning.
Questions? Senator Ritchie.
I just want to make one comment. I consider Dee Dee a good friend. I know her well. I just want to say that she was a great public servant, worked very hard for her constituents, and I think she'll do the same thing in this position. So I certainly look forward to voting for her.
You St. Lawrence people stick together.
You got it.
Senator Griffin.
I just want to concur with Senator Ritchie. She's been extraordinarily accessible and very helpful in working with Dee Dee in a number of positions. So I applaud the governor for this choice, and I know you'll do a great job.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you. Senator Espaillat.
Yes, I also look forward to working with you guys. It's also a taxpayer advocate for many years and know what issues must be resolved, and I look forward to having a good relationship and sharing this.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Boyle.
I also have the privilege of serving with Dee Dee in the Senate. She's a great public servant. Rather than the fact that Dee Dee has nothing to mention.
I always beat him in tennis. I'm
Oh,
not
in
sure.
tennis.
I think you'd be kind.
Very good. Thank you, Senator Boyle. Do I have a motion?
I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, Senator
Thank you.
Krueger.
Hi, Senator.
So
You
the
have
tax,
been kind of quiet.
it's late. So as you described, you'd be the non-attorney of 3 people, so the two must be attorneys, one doesn't have to be an attorney, but
That's
must
correct.
have a background in taxation and tax policy. So do you feel like you're ready to evaluate tax cases, tax appeal cases?
Yes. If you ask me, do I know the intricacies of each and every tax law and how it applies in each individual case? Probably not. But I have a pretty strong background in tax and in the preparation of tax, and also in just the background. Like I said before, I've instructed cost accounting, I've instructed finance, so I feel very comfortable. And I also feel comfortable in my ability to learn and to know what I don't know, and to make sure that I gain the knowledge that I need in certain instances. So, and we work as a team. I mean, there's 3 of us working together, and each of us, 2 of them pretty much write decisions, but we all listen to the oral arguments, and I would also be assuming some of the administrative roles in the functioning of the tribunal itself.
And it's considered a full-time position?
It is.
And so I think you might have just answered this question. So you would not necessarily be writing up the commission's decisions? There's a staff that then do the writing up of the decisions after?
I'm not sure that staff do, no. I think members of the tribunal, but I think in some instances it has to be the attorney that's writing some of the decisions until if I should feel comfortable in writing decisions. If I get to that point, then I can. But I think there's some question there, whether it has to be written by an attorney or not, and I would prefer to defer on answering that question until I was sure.
And do people come before you in person, or it's all done through written materials?
No, there's oral arguments that are presented, and then there's a decision that's rendered by the tribunal.
And are all the meetings here in Albany, or are they
No.
located in various parts of the state?
No, there are 10 meetings a year. They alternate between Albany and New York City. The New York City hearings occur in the New York City tribunal hall, and they're heard in the same premises as New York City tribunal.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Just, I know that 81% of the cases last year that were adjudicated were either sales tax or income tax issues. One of the things that we've run into with the tax department in the past is that they were using the same indices across the state, and as you know, as an upstater, the cost of living and the price of things differs from region to region. So that's just one of the things. Senator Krueger and I like to have lively debates about those issues. But so, for example, if a cheeseburger is $5 in Roswell or Olean, but a cheeseburger costs $15 in Manhattan, sometimes the upstate eateries were being assessed, and they were being told they should have been collecting higher taxes, even though the cost of food was only $5. So I just want to alert you to that fact, because it seems to be an ongoing issue. But do I have a motion? Yes. Senator Ritchie moves, Senator Griffo seconds, Senator Kennedy seconds, Senator Boyle seconds. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Congratulations. Thank you. Our next appearance is Lorraine Cortez Vasquez as trustee of the City University of New York's Board of Trustees.
Secretaries.
Great to see you.
Yes, is this like deja vu all over again?
Oh, I don't know how many all over again.
I'm very glad to have you here. Why don't you, again, the committee, this is an individual as well known to the committee, but perhaps you can give us the Reader's Digest view of yourself and also any goals that you may have for CUNY.
Well, first of all, thank you at this bewitching hour for holding this hearing, and I'm really pleased that we have the opportunity to go to the Finance Committee. As you know, I am a native New Yorker. I've been also served this state in many ways. I was on the Board of Regents for 8 years. I was the 67th Secretary of State. And I have served in the nonprofit sector as well as in the corporate sector over the 30 plus years of my career. I am pleased to serve on this CUNY board should the nomination go through. And it is because of my experience not only as a CUNY graduate and as the first member of my family to graduate from college, I know the difference that a college education makes in an individual life. And given the fact that most of the students in CUNY, of the 274,000 students in CUNY, about 2/3 of those are Pell Grant recipients, so I know that that makes a difference. My goal for CUNY is to, one, ensure that it continues this trajectory of academic performance that it has done, it's an increased academic performance, and that also to help it with its infrastructure. As we know, and we've heard of all of the complications and challenges that its infrastructure has experienced in the last 15 years. My goal is to work very diligently with the legislature to make sure that we can address those things together.
Thank you. Questions? Comments?
We all know.
Okay.
Welcome back.
The only thing I would say is that there have been reports of some anti-Semitism on campuses, and I would hope that you would really devote yourself to resolving some of those issues and making sure that it does not occur.
For those of you who know me, my commitment to inclusion and my commitment to any hate crimes or anything of that nature is something that I stand for.
Thank you very much.
So
So we have a motion from Senator Hassel Thompson. Do we have a second? Senator Espaillat, Senator Kennedy, Senator Marcelino. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Congratulations. Thank you so much. I do have, before we go to the non-appearances, I do have an announcement, actually two. Nominations will be taken up on the floor immediately after the rules, well, right now, but then there also is an immediate meeting of the Rules Committee in this room at the same time. Okay, so we're going to be doing two things at once.
so they'll be doing the nominating while we'll be doing the
Yes, correct. So now, could we take all the non-appearances as one motion?
So moved.
Senator Griffo moves, Senator Kennedy seconds, Senator Hassel Thompson seconds, Senator Kaminsky seconds. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All are carried. So thank you so much. That concludes the Senate Standing Committee on Finance prior to midnight.